wrestle against flesh and blood. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood in Ephesians 6. What he said was, he uses the word ego, which is translated as me, I. I wrestle against flesh and blood. While I wrestle, you stand from head to toe with the gospel. You stand, I'll fight. Nowadays, we tell everyone to do spiritual warfare. That's why we got so much of damage in the church. All of you are called to pray, but not all of you are called to confront principalities. That is given to a special group of people in the church, even though we are equal in the sight of God. But you must know ranking in the spirit. I just met with somebody who came to see me. He's high in governmental warfare. High. And I have deep respect for him. He understands administrations in the area of warfare like I would never understand. But he came for counsel because his house was totally, it's depleting. It's getting empty. He asked me, what's the counsel? So I gave him a few things. I did an audit on his ministry for him. Showed him all the gaps. Because certain things, demons, if you don't practice certain things, like for example, I asked him, is your church tithing to your apostle? Do you have an apostolic covering? I asked him. He looked at me a little shady. I asked him, do you tithe to your source? And do you know how to honor? The principle of honor, it's not about the money, it's the honor. And he said to me, no, I must look at that. His wife was next to you. And I said to him, well, all your spiritual warfare and your governmental praying will never secure you from a devouring spirit, because you have dishonored the Lord by not honoring him with your tithes, first fruits and offerings. So you will always have a devourer in your house, even though you'll have your needs met. You'll have pockets, you'll have holes in your pockets, because that is you can tell me how much you pray. That's the problem. I said the second thing is, the nature of your ministry is warfare. But on a Sunday morning, if you are doing warfare with your people, you just killed all your people, because some of them are not called to warfare. You've exposed them to levels of engagement that maybe only you and one of two of your ilk, your kind, may be exposed to. And I understand this because the Lord showed me this. That's why I don't like to use the title apostle, because then you open the door to principalities coming against you because you claim to have the title, and then they say, Paul I know, Jesus I know. Who are you? And this does not mean, listen, we all are protected, but we all are not called to speak to certain principalities. That I understand, because I've had encounters with the Lord and with principalities that he exposed me to, and I understand this. So I say to people, don't carry something that you're not made up to do. Who you are must produce what you are. And you can't say I'm an apostle, but you don't have the what. Now, if you went to city building, the design of the city of God, Ezekiel's design, Ezekiel 48, 49, Revelation 21, 22, you will discover, if you really study how the walls are built. And remember, God never built any other city but the city of Jerusalem. And all the examples we get is about Jerusalem. And the Jerusalem from heaven comes out of God from heaven. Out of God from heaven. That Jerusalem is a divine template of how you secure regions that you live in by using the template of Jerusalem as a model. It is a model for how you build peace, prosperity, your Jerusalem wherever you live. So you can live in Nairobi and you can have Jerusalem in the city of Nairobi. You can have two cities. This is the juxtaposition between two cities, and this is how two cities operate in one realm. And the city of God, if you study Jeremiah, there's no reference to them building the city. Jeremiah's references to building walls and gates. That's the only references. Of Moses and put it in the middle. Enemy. Businesses made lots of money out of us because we bought oil from them to anoint our cities. In South Africa, they hire helicopters to drop oil from the sky. Are the heathen. You have because you Are you with me? Are you with me? So say to your neighbor, apostles are the walls of a city. Elders are the gates of a city. Say to your neighbor, you are the city. Do you have walls? Do you have a gate? No, not Fountain Gate now. Do you have a gate? Okay. So what am I saying? If we are the city of God, made up of people, do we have the walls around us? Any portion, they said in city building in the Old Testament, they said the distinction between a city and a country is that the moment you put a wall around a people, they were classified as a city. But if a people lived in the country without walls, they were called living in the countryside. So if you had no walls, you were countrymen. If you had walls, you were city men. So what are the walls? Apostles. But what are the gates? Elders. So apostles bring protection, but fathers determine how things happen in the city. So when you bring the fathers of a city, the bishops or oversights over groups of people, and you connect them to an apostle, that's how Paul would meet with the apostle, with the elders of Ephesus in Acts chapter 20. And he was their connection. And when he met with that group of elders, and remember in Ephesus there were other apostles that met with their groups, but at least in this area that these churches had apostles and fathers working together, there was security to that area. That would be classified, even if all the walls were not built in a region where the church met. But wherever you lived behind walls and at gates, in that area, you were safe. You know what Rahab did? The prostitute, our grandmother in the spirit. If you didn't know in the spirit, your grandmother was a prostitute. But she was a wise one. She got saved afterwards, so thank God for that. Please, some of you are very annoyed with me, but I'm trying to keep you awake here. She built a house in the wall. So you can choose how you want to live. If you build your house in the wall, so these people had these huge walls, like the walls of Jericho. You could drive, but in the people would build their houses. If you go to Europe today, you can see some houses built into the walls. So she chose to be so plugged in. She plugged in, even though the father will sit in the gate closest to that entrance, to that part of the wall where there was an entrance, and determine traffic between two realms. Say to your neighbor, build your house in the wall. Apostolic source. Know how to stay plugged in. If you plug into somebody who calls himself an apostle, but he doesn't have the grace, you just became you connected yourself to a cloud that can't give you water. You're an empty well. You connect. This world, like in South Africa, everyone's so health conscious, they're going to read the labels. No salt, zero cholesterol, sugar free. Then they buy it. But what if the label is wrong? You're eating sugar free, but you got full of sugar. Or you cholesterol, 20% cholesterol. If the label is wrong, food supply, you're eating the wrong things. Similarly, don't carry a label that's wrong. This is not about status.